New businesses from around the globe are redefining the internet with the potential to take over. The current wave of online entrepreneurs are captivating the digital generation. Join me, Dan Brown, as I dig deeper into the internet's business scene and spend time with the voices behind the movement. This is Digital Business Billionaire. And hey, listen, if you want show transcripts and show notes for each episode emailed to you so you have everything available to you, you can go over to dbbshow.com right now and sign up to get those. So every time there's a new episode, we'll also email you the transcripts so you can read through them and the show notes with any resources or links we mention in the show in case you want to check that stuff out. And all you have to do is go over to dbbshow.com and sign up, and you'll get those delivered right to your email inbox. Hey, welcome to this live teleseminar, and our guest today is Matt Bacak, who is considered by many as a legend of internet marketing. Matt has used his stealth persuasion and marketing strategies to become a best-selling author, and in the process built up a raving fan base of over 1.2 million people. In his 8 years of internet marketing, Matt has built up 3 multi-million-dollar companies, and he's not only a sought-after internet marketing coach, but has also marketed for some of the world's top experts and has coached a who's who list of modern-day gurus. With all that said, Matt and I were speaking before the call, and I have to say he's very approachable, super nice guy, and more of a family man maybe than people might think. So, Matt, glad to have you on the show today, and welcome, my friend. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Where are you doing the call from today?
I live in Atlanta, actually doing it in my office.
Awesome, awesome. Atlanta, eh? So what's the weather like down there?
It's actually kind of cold right now. It's colder than it should be.
Yeah, I can relate. I'm up here in Canada, and it's basically winter up here. We had our first snowfall yesterday, so.
Are you in Toronto or something?
I'm in Montreal right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So I say we just jump right into the meat and potatoes of things, and let's start it off with, can you just tell our listeners a little bit about your story, how you got started, and, how you got to where you're at today?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, I don't have like a canned thing to really tell anybody, but, if we're looking specifically in internet marketing or marketing online, I got started in 1999. Marketing things online and actually from my dorm room in college. I started a couple of little .coms in college. Actually sold it off in college. But that's when I really started marketing and doing things. And then, from there, because I was in it in 1999, actually, the word internet marketing, to my knowledge, really wasn't a word. There was no such thing. I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't know it was called internet marketing at the time. And in about 2001, I believe, about 2001, maybe 2003, I can't recall, but I put up my first opt-in page, and that was the moment when everything changed for me. And that's really, the big moment was then, is because I started building my list, started making things happen from there, because I used to just have I literally had a closet full of tapes and DVDs I was selling actually information, and back then it was tapes and cassettes and cassette tapes and not DVDs, we didn't have them back then, VHS tapes of information. I actually sold stuff for Kiyosaki's organization when he first started. I was a huge distributor of the Cash 101 game, and that's kind of what really got my start. That's where I built everything from there. And then through the years, I've been, playing in that game, but I actually done a lot more than just information. Most people know me doing stuff in information, but, most of my companies actually aren't in the information business. I just actually enjoy it, and that's why I do it. But, but over the years, we've built some really amazing things, and I've had a lot of fun and watched the history of this market change and see things come back, and the ebbs and flows have been amazing.
Yeah, that's cool. So you started building your opt-in list in, did you say 99?
No, actually, I think it was like 2001, maybe 2003. I think it's probably 2001 I started building my list, actually realizing that, hey, I'm making a big mistake here. I was focusing on, I came to the conclusion, I can have a closet full of, because that's where my inventory was, is my closet, a closet full of, stuff to sell, but if I have nobody to sell to, what good is it? And that's when I finally made the switch and said, okay, I got to focus on finding people first, and then coming up with products or finding products that actually fit their wants and needs.
Right. So what would you say are, I don't know if you've thought about this before, but do you know or can you tell us maybe a little bit about some of the pivotal moments in your internet marketing journey or, before you kind of jumped into building your list and selling information? Like what were the pivotal moments that really changed things for you?
Well, I think when I started, I was they nicknamed me the powerful promoter because I was doing stuff in I didn't actually do stuff in internet marketing. Actually, I was doing more stuff in wealth building, the wealth building market. Like I said, I did stuff with Kiyosaki. I was doing stuff with Tony Robbins' group, not Tony himself, but Tony Robbins' group. And so, more of it was like personal development, wealth building, things like that, because that's what I desired to learn. And I actually started it was 2001. I know for a fact I started my first list, now that I think of it. And that was probably the pivotal moment, because what I was doing is I just needed to figure out an avenue to be able to sell the things that I had. But the interesting thing is kind of the reasoning of me doing it wasn't just because I needed to find things to sell. It was I wanted to have a platform that I can actually be a reporter, just because one of my desires was I wanted to get rich. I wanted to make a lot of money. And so the Millionaire Minutes was my first newsletter that I came out with, and it was minutes I had with millionaires. And I never said I was a millionaire because I wasn't. I just was the owner of Millionaire Minutes and started building that list, now to think of it. And from that, I actually leveraged that to get closer to the people I wanted to learn from. And it was actually my way of making friends, because I had something of value that I knew they wanted, and they had things that I could sell because I didn't have anything back then. So I was really the middleman between all of it, and I had something that they all desired was people to buy their things, and that's really what happened. But the big moment I would say inside that was realizing that, hey, I had this big desire, a huge desire. Hey, I want to make $1 million. I want to make $1 million. And every day I'd come home and I was like, I didn't make $1 million today, so therefore, I'm a loser. I'm a failure. And I realized the biggest pivotal moment was the moment I realized I said, hey, you know what? I just got to make my first dollar, and then I got to take it from my first dollar, and I got to make it. I got to go and I got to make my first $100, and then I got it from there. Like, let's share all these little victories on my way to making my millions, and it went from one thing after another. And I remember when I made my first 100,000, like that was the biggest moment for me. As soon as I made my first $100,000, I said to myself, I said, if I just do what I did 10 more times, I can make $1 million. And so that was really. The moment when that's actually within 6 months, once I kind of realized that, within 6 months, I ended up making my first $1 million online from the time I made my first 100,000. So, that was a cool, really moment for me to do it. And I cheered on all my victories, whether they were, big or small, but I started cheering on like the little things that I was doing and not realizing, I had this big, huge dream or this big, huge goal in front of me. But, on my way there, I needed to, be grateful for all the little things that occurred to get there. And so that's what was like a big thing, a big, huge moment for me. One thing, too, in that run, because I actually called it my $1 million run, when I decided to make my $1 million run, my first, for the first million, I remember the big thing. Actually, I remember I called up my mother, and I basically said to her, I said, look, I'm not going to talk to you for a while. I'm not going to communicate with you. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm actually going to I'm going to go. And I remember calling my mom. I said, I'm not going to talk to you until I make the first $1 million. And she was like, well, when will that be? I said, I don't know, but I'm just going to not talk to you or not talk to anybody until I do, except for the people, just my cheerleaders at the time or people that were going to help me get there. And so that was a big, huge, thing for me, is realizing that. that, I needed to put cheerleaders in my corner that were going to cheer me along, that believed that I was actually going to do what I was going to do, instead of, even though my mom loved me and she said, oh, I've always been there and I always thought that, you could do it. But the words that came out of her mouth, she was trying to protect me the whole time because she didn't want to see me get hurt and, everything else, even though they were just little things that used to drive me nuts. So, I made some sacrifices, but, I ended up doing it less than 6 months, and I remember coming home for Christmas and telling her, hey, I did it. And then ever since then we had a great relationship. But there are times that, times in your life, there's people in your life that are maybe holding you down, or mentally, like for some reason, there's something that's grasping onto you for not, achieving whatever your dream or your goal is. And so, that was a big thing. My first 100,000 was harder than my first million. And, I think one thing is kind of a clear thing when I talked about it was like, I started off when I came to the deciding to change my goals and make it, I started off making my first $100, my first $1,000, my first 10,000, my first 100,000, $1 million in a year. Those like, while I was going up those steps, to making things happen. And I started off being a little more realistic, and then I set small goals, and on the way to the top, and I celebrated the little victories, and I set goals, so that I could have victories. And that was a huge thing. And, I just took massive action and just made it happen.
Awesome. Yeah, I think probably the most important thing you said in there is how, you made that shift and started up your millionaire run, and you said to yourself, I'm going to make my first dollar first, right? Like then my first $100. And I think what happens so often in our community is people, because of all the hype and stuff you see, people think that they could just make $1 million by next week, but really you gotta, take it step at a time, like you said, and set goals for yourself and celebrate your achievements, right?
Yeah, the little
So,
ones.
yeah. So, really, what I want to talk about today mostly is building an opt-in list. Tricks and techniques and strategies. I know you have a lot of insight concerning opt-in lists. So, when you go to put together, your squeeze page or your opt-in page, whatever you want to call it, and you're going to give away something for free, or like we like to call it, a lead magnet, do you have a certain kind of process that you follow to create that giveaway, to create something that's really desirable for your target market?
Well, see, the big thing I know is, well, just going through, everybody, you're talking about like the lead magnet itself, like not the page itself, but the thing that I'm giving away.
Right.
Yeah. So the one thing that I know about the market, and I've seen this over the years, everybody loves, everybody's looking for a few things, especially in the IM market specifically. People love traffic is a really hot. People want to make, the three hottest products I've ever sold in the IM space are make money, traffic, and also social media, as long as it has to do with make money. So make money is like the number one thing. Everybody wants to make money. Well, make money with traffic and make money with social media. Those are two hot selling products, or two hot selling things that I've sold. So typically whenever I am creating a thing, because I do know the market, what they really desire is I either build or try to find something, that relates to that so that I can actually, give that away. Now, whether it's going to be a free report, whether it's going to be something unique, like I actually have a mind map that I share on one of my opt-in pages. It's kind of unique. I gave them I actually put a picture or an image of it, and I blur it out and tell them, hey, here's, my mind map, the internet marketing mindset. You can go grab this. I have, different things like that where it's, it could be if some people would say, oh, yeah, it's just a graphic. Well, it's not. It's a mind map. It's actually pretty cool. I had somebody design it, and it's got all these little cool pictures and bubbles, like, and all this other stuff on it, and it was well drawn out. And so, you can turn things like that, even PDFs, and, people talk about free reports. I like to kind of, take a free report and change it into something like maybe a white paper or something like that. Give it a unique angle so that when somebody, it's not like everybody else. And my biggest thing is I told my wife when I got married to her, I said, look, I'm not like everybody else. I'm going to be, everything that we're going to do in life, it's either we're going to be poor, we're going to be the poorest people in the world, or we're going to be the richest people in the world, because I'm not going to be settling for being normal. Well, I've taken that same concept to to the internet. There's things that I do, and I always am trying new things. I live under the premise of nothing is true, everything is permitted. I've seen too much stuff go in this marketplace to realize, from my years being on, seeing that everybody plays follow the follower, and I'd rather be the leader. When people play follow the follower, they don't understand what the innovators, or the leaders of the marketplace actually did. So I like to question everything that I see, I don't. It's more or less I come from a zero-based thinking and say, okay, I want to create something of desire that somebody really, really wants, they'll be willing to opt in and give me their email address for. What will that be? And I don't pay attention. I kind of get ideas from other people, but I don't take whatever they're doing for the word of God. It's like, this isn't. How do I know that was true? Who do they follow to follow from there? And a lot of times, interesting enough, because I was around before the opt-in page actually came out, nobody really knows the true history of it. Because we were around when I was around, it was like the Wild West. I mean, you just literally just harvested emails, push send, and you're good to go. There was no Can Spam Act. There was nothing like that. As soon as the Can Spam Act came out, then actually nobody realized that Jonathan Mizell was the first person that ever came out with an opt-in page. That was the first opt-in page came out of his mind. Today, actually, if you're looking at an opt-in page, a lot of people will use a little like image of a lock underneath it. And that came out of my mind. I literally was going on there. We actually came out, that was when the HTTPS came out, or was out, but we had the locks up in our browser, and I looked at that. I said, man, it makes me feel like this is really safe for me to buy something. I said, wonder if that's the idea. I could actually take and put it on an opt-in page, and now I see it like widespread all over the internet. And so, so the reason I say that is because nobody knows the reasoning. People are following followers, and I said, I just look at it and say, okay, how can I innovate this? How can I do something a little bit different? And I don't take everybody's word for everything, because what I found through, I'm test like a maniac, and through all my testing, I've discovered that what we believe to be true and what the numbers say are two different things. So what we think is true and what really is true are always proven by numbers, because the numbers don't lie. And 99% of the times, what I think might work never does, and what I think won't work will.
Yeah, I mean, I find that internet marketing is kind of counterintuitive that way. A lot of things that happen, or you may think something, you're going to get one result, and your campaign completely blows, and then you're split testing something else, and it converts like crazy. So a lot of the time, I also see that opt-in pages convert much better when it's ugly. It's not even nice.
Yeah. And well, it's actually funny, because see, when I put up the opt-in page, I split test my opt-in page like crazy. But when I split test, I see a lot of guys on the internet, and I was talking about this at a JVZoo event, and I said, look, I stood up to everybody. I said, look, you guys don't split test. You guys think you split test, you don't split test. You optimize. If you're changing a headline, if you're changing this, you're changing that, that's optimization. True split testing is taking a radically different looking feel from a radically different angle with a radically different thing. Giving an example, which you just said, was I'll make one so pretty that I'd love to go show my grandmother, my mother, my family, and I'll make one so ugly I'd never want to show them, and that's kind of an example of radical split testing for me. And the one that I would never want to show my mom and dad, is the one that usually is the one that just crushes it. Usually, nothing's always in stone, but that's what I've discovered. And so a lot of times I will do that. I'll take radicals, and I'm like, I want to make the prettiest page in the world. I'll make the ugliest page in the world, and that my initial split test. And then once I've identified which direction to go, then I'll start optimizing from there. Making shifts and changes in the headline, or the placement of different things on there, stuff like that, and start optimizing it down to really hone it in to make it 1,000 times better. But but that's a big thing for people. I think really for people to take away is like if you get one thing out of this, the one thing I would really like everybody to get is saying that I believe to be true at this moment in time of I've made millions upon millions of dollars. 1 year I did over $20 million through the internet with multiple companies that I had. Didn't take it all home. I wish I did, but But the reason I bring that up is, I've been around a while. Every year, if I don't make $1 million, I'm going to slit my throat. I mean, I wouldn't really do that, but it just, but like to me, I just must do it. If there's no every year, I must do that. So, but the reason I bring that up is because I came to the conclusion that nothing is true, everything is permitted, and we permit things to be true because maybe somebody we're listening to says it's true and everything else. And when it comes to the internet, and Dan, you just nailed it, was everything's counterintuitive. I mean, internet marketing is counterintuitive, and once people grasp that and understand that, and also take that in their mind, and also take in their mind that nothing is true, is everything's permitted, create some, when you're creating it, have fun, and just get creative, and you might create the next evolution of opt-in pages, or the next, something that's going to be so amazing, that's going to give you a higher conversion than anybody's ever seen. And don't, status quo to me, I don't like to be the norm. If we're going to be, everybody, a lot of people are like, well, this is a normal thing to do. Well, if it's a normal thing to do, I don't want to do it, because the normal person on the internet doesn't make the kind of money I make,
Right.
And that I want to make. So therefore, I don't care what they're doing. I want to question what they're doing, and maybe they nailed something. They just need a couple little tweaks to fix it. But that's a great place to come from, whether it is creating your lead magnet or whether it is creating your page to get it to really work.
Yeah, so let's just jump back to the lead magnet here for a second. And when you're creating your lead magnet, I mean, obviously you've tested out tons of different techniques and strategies, but I'm wondering, do you have any kind of cut and dry rule for what type of medium you like to give away as a lead magnet, like a PDF or an audio or maybe like a video series? Do you have a favorite or a go-to?
No, I mean, actually, it'd probably still be the report if you actually asked me from a perspective. If I went, I'm just thinking in my head of all the pages I have out there, it is typically going to be a report. However, in the future, depending on what it is, it might start being software, just because, my neighbor is really big into software. Actually, I got a new guy on my team that can actually create me some software. The only reason I never did it before is lead magnet, is because I just didn't have the right teams to put it together. Now I do. So it may be that. I'm not 1,000% sure on it, but right now, if you ask me that question, like I say, it would be reports or PDFs. But in the future, I have a feeling, strongly feel, I'll probably move to software. However, really, it's going to be a test. I might test, because a radical test to me would be, a killer page with, a killer page with PDF and a killer page with a totally radically different thing with software, and see which one wins. So, the numbers are going to tell me which direction to go. I mean, but I can kind of feel that I'm going to probably blow it out of the water, start coming out with some little software I can actually give away.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie, so I think that's some good insight too, because I never really thought about giving away software. You don't really see it too often. Most common is, obviously the report, and then maybe audio, video are tied, or maybe video's a little ahead there, but software and PLR you don't really see as much either. But seeing as so many people just go crazy over software, it it seems like that would be a trend for an upward raising trend in 2014. I'm curious to see how.
I think people forget, in the marketplace, there's a big wave back in, it was 2006. You don't hold me to it. It could be, my mind's saying 2006, between 2006 and 2008, there was a huge shift in the marketplace where we kind of got, a lot of the people that were leading the field in the market, we started following a model that I haven't heard anybody talking about in years, and it's called the freemium model. I'm sorry, not the freemium model, but it's the free line, I'm sorry. I was thinking I have an app development company, that's the only reason I said freemium. But it's, the free line, and it's like, take something, we were taking things that we would sell for a good amount of money, and we were actually giving it away for free, and it was shocking the community. And the purpose of doing that was to say, okay, your subscribers or your new followers say to you, wow, if this guy gave me this for free just for getting my email address, I can't imagine what I'm going to get when he gives me when I give them my credit card, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And so a lot of people were questioning things like that and using the freemium model. The Freeline model. And I don't hear that much anymore. Which I actually just brought it up to one of my guys. I said, let's go, let's run the Freeline on this and see what happens. Nobody else is doing it, and I bet it's going to just go gangbusters.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the free line is sort of the same thing as like a freemium, right? That's just slang. It's like a free premium.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, because I'm a big follower of Dan Kennedy, a student of his, and I know he always consistently talks about, pushing the free line, and
he does.
We really have it best because, ours is all digital, and we can really push the free line and see what happens. So I think it's super powerful to kind of experiment with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan's a good guy. We've done a lot together. I used to be in his Titanium Mastermind group. I haven't talked to him in a while, but yeah, I didn't actually. I never really heard. I don't think I've ever heard the words come out of his mouth. But I probably would. I mean, it's more or less it's us talking in there about stuff. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess. But it is something for you guys to, for people listening. I will say it's a great thought to put in your head when you are designing your lead magnet.
Yeah, so let's kind of transition here. We've been talking about the strategy. So I know people love tactics. People go wild over tactics. So I want to know, can you give us some of your tactics, some of your techniques to creating high converting headlines? Because that's probably the first thing that you would optimize on a squeeze page, right? Is your headline?
Yeah. So
yeah.
Actually, that's interesting. So since nobody asked me, I'll tell you. So here's nobody usually asks that question to me, but it's very simplistic. So one of the things that I have found is a lot of times I tell people, let me give you guys a background of my thought pattern to help you guys really get what I'm doing. But there is a methodical process in how I do it, but it's really simple. So whenever I'm coming up with a headline, I don't generate it from my mind. 99% of all my headlines are coming from things like, actually, where they're really coming from is my subject line split test. I split test 5 radically different subject lines every single day. Twice a day. So I'm actually split testing 10 radically different subject lines every single day. And then I have a team in the Philippines that are actually pulling my reports on all my split tests, sending me a report every single week. So I have a collection of data of every single subject line that I have. Now, from that, what I do is I use that collection of data to be able to give me instant user data of what they're reacting to and what they're not reacting to. I'll give you an example. If I had a subject line of, Dan Brown's online show, let's just say that was a subject line that actually was a winner. Well, you know what? I might just use that. So what I typically do is I'm taking subject lines. And utilizing my subject lines as my headlines. And if people actually realize it, so a lot of my subheads, actually, I'm thinking in my last 7 products, I've actually been playing around in WSOs last 6 months in Warrior Forum Special Offers. And if anybody actually realized that we're on my list, they can actually probably go look at all my headlines and subheadlines and actually find the email that the subject lines were created from. So since I am split testing, I do have that data. My thing for me is I don't like to guess. I like to know. And the easiest way I can know is if I know a subject line has the highest open rated of all of them, or if I know a subject line, because I'm actually not just tracking open rates. I'm looking at we look at the send to click, send to click ratio, which is click-through really, and I'm taking from there. So because those who don't realize is that a subject line and email can dictate an action in the email, such as a click. So the industry norm is saying, open rates are, hey, what's your open rates? I don't care about open rates. I care about what's my click-through rate, and because all I care about is getting that click when it comes to email marketing, unless I'm sending out information. Information, I want the information in there, but 99.9% of all the emails I'm sending out have a call to action in it and getting them to click to go to a page. So therefore, based upon that, whenever I am choosing a headline, I typically will take my headlines that created an action, because that's exactly what I want to have happen on the page is somebody taking an action. With this action on an opt-in page is going to be opting in. Well, on on an email, it's going to be clicking a link. So it's the closest action that I can get at that moment. Now, if we actually took it backwards a little bit and if you'd asked me, hey, how do I come up with my subject lines? Well, it'll actually tell you why this I think is even very important and why I do this is because my subject lines, or radically different subject lines, are typically maybe Facebook ads, maybe headlines of Facebook ads. And when I'm saying Facebook ads, I'm talking, I actually we actually print Google searches for the Google AdWords ads, and we track and watch which Google AdWords ads have been running consistently with the same headline. We look at Yahoo ads or Bing ads, and their AdWords kind of ads. I can't remember what the names of them are there, but AdWords kind of thing. But on Yahoo and Bing, and so I take the headlines they have there from long running standing accounts, or people running, and then I utilize those for a lot of times for my subject lines. And so based upon that, now you think, okay, now I take 5 radically different subject lines that came from that kind of thought pattern, or actually from proven winners that people are running Google AdWords. Now they become the subject lines. Now the best of the best subject lines, because I'm testing those against that, now that becomes my headline. So that's my process. I mean, that's my tactic, or if you want to know a trick or whatever, it's not really a trick. It's just I don't like to guess. I don't want to say, oh, I think this subject line is going to work. No, I want to know subject lines that will work. And the headline the headline on them is just like a headline on a page.
Yeah, that's really original. I've never heard a process like that. Most people would probably answer my question with like, "Oh, I use curiosity." Right.
Following the follower, whatever the follower tells you, just do whatever it says. I mean, that was my whole point, is the fact that you've caught me when I'm in a really good light too, because I haven't been really opening and sharing all the stuff that I've done, and I might just close some doors too. Just because we are innovators. I mean, we're not just on the leading edge; we're on the bleeding edge. There's things that we're doing that the market hasn't even seen, and the market's not even ready for it because the norms in the market just won't be able to comprehend it. And the good thing is, if you understand the history of the internet, specifically internet marketing, then you can predict the future. And so we're really good, and we know where things are going to go and how they're going to go, and we're placing ourselves in the position to make that happen. So there's going to be a lot of cool things happen, innovation going to happen over the next, over the years because of things that we're actually working on today.
Yeah. So can we, for a moment, and can we just, take a look into your crystal ball of internet marketing here, and can you tell us what you predict for the future for 2014, maybe moving forward, in terms of after someone opts into your squeeze page, what kind of sales process are they taken through? Like the one-time offer is so common now, but I'm wondering what do you think about that? What do you think is the trends?
The fact of the matter is, so we can't fight. So there's a difference between innovation and the fundamentals. Okay.
Right.
So let's be very clear with everybody here. First of all, you guys want to win at any game, any sport, anything in the world, you got to get good at the fundamentals. Before you can start playing with new stuff. The fundamental, like what's getting fundamentally strong. I would say a internet fundamental thing that everybody must do is, it makes no sense. If you have real estate, every ounce of real estate that you have, virtual real estate, let's just call it, whether it's your email or digital real estate, let's just call it that. That's actually a better term, which I just made up. So let's say we have digital real estate. Well, we've got the subject lines, digital real estate. Most people don't realize in your emails, the first couple of lines is digital real estate, because that people actually in their preview panes, they see that. So you actually can use call to actions or something to get them to open from there, which actually increase your open rates. But your email, everything that I do, there's a purpose behind every single thing of it. Now, when somebody goes to your page, you got to realize this, and this is the thing that most people, when they're building the list, they hate, but they got to say, okay, there are just some things or universal rules or laws, in internet marketing. And one of them is the fact that when you have a list and you send an email, not every single person on your list is going to open it, right? So not every single, you're not going to have a 100% open rate every time you send an email. Unless, you got 3 people on there and they're everybody in your office and you tell them all to do it. It's just not going to happen. So the bottom line is, the reason I bring that up is because simply, my open rate's this, my open rate's that. I don't even care about open rate, but the reason I bring that up is because when is the moment that you have everybody truly opening, or really everybody's attention? Because the key to marketing is truly attention. And, the moment you have people attention is when they open the email, but the true moment when somebody goes to your pages and opts in, that's the moment you will have 100% open rate on, it's from your list. And so if you're not making an offer right there, then you're losing out on a lot of money. So I would say a key fundamental thing is to have, an offer after you have people there. How you play it after that, see, I usually, I always call it the key is 3, just because I've been hounded for overdoing it, over abusing it, because you also got to pay attention to your consumer. You don't want to beat them up too much, but typically if we're looking at the fundamentals, if I was going to say I would create a cookie cutter sales funnel, for me it would be, it's always 3. And what I mean by that is you come in, you're going to see a page, and then after you get done with that, you're going to go to a next page. After you're done with that, you're going to go to the next page, and then you're done. I don't add any more. Now, whether you buy the first one, if you buy the first one, you'll see 2 more. If you leave, you're still going to see 2 more different things. I found the key is 3, and for everything that I do. And plus, I could extract more money and get more money if I did add more. However, you're going to I found that you beat up the people too much, and they're going to get mad. And people are okay when you're at, and keep it to the 3. Plus, you're able to get your your money back really quickly, especially if you're spending. I always look at net 30. Most guys can't do that, but I at least want to make my money back off of every single subscriber within 30 days. I'm fine with that. However, truthfully, we're all the same way. We all still, the whole market lives in the microwave society thinking. I want my money back that second. It doesn't always happen. I'm fine with 30 days. If I don't get 30 days, then I get mad. But the fact is, I don't mind doing that. So I'm willing to spend, as long as I can get it back to 30 days. But of course, like I said, just I wanted to get as fast as I can. If I can, for every dollar I spend, I get $2 back. I'll do that all day long. All day long. And then you're looking at me throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars towards it until I find the amount. Because I buy solo. Give you an example. I buy solo ads. I buy up to $250,000 a month in solo ads. Probably more than any other guy I ever met. I'm always, I found a process that works really well with solo ads. For every dollar I spend, I immediately get 60 cents back. From that 60 cents, I'm in $2.16 within 30 days. So for every dollar I spend, I get $2.16 back. I'm doubling my money every 30 days with it. The only issue I have is there's not enough quality solely ad traffic for me to buy. And the only way to do that is to make multiple. So now I've got to think wider. Instead of having this one, now I've got to create a new process from a totally different angle to get me to get the rest. But I am finding I'm limited by the traffic that I can get in that market, or I would be having a bigger budget than up to $250,000. My budget could get to over $1 million if I wanted to, especially if you're for every $1 million, every $100,000. It's a bit differently for people to put it in more of a. For every $1,000 you spend, you get $2,160 back in 30 days. That's a great investment. We all agree with that. $10,000 turns into, $20,000, and it does it all day long. I would do that. I play that game all day long, and people don't realize. See, the biggest thing is whether we kind of got off key here, but I think it's really good for people to hear is you're in the game of collecting pennies. And when you realize that, see, everybody focuses on the million. Well, to get to a million, you really collect a lot of pennies, and people aren't paying attention to the pennies. They're not accounting for half the things. Just one little slight. We were talking about the headlines earlier. One little slight change can dramatically increase your opt-in rate, which can dramatically increase your the amount of money you're making. And it increases the amount of pennies that you're collecting. And the more pennies you collect, the closer you're going to get to wherever you want. It's something to really, think about when people are playing this game. One thing I deal with, I opened up for the first time in 6 years having clients where I'm actually taking them on, working with some people. I've got like 78 people that I work with, and I've kind of shut it off. I'm actually probably going to reopen it so I can get to 100, and then I'm going to shut it off again. But the reason I bring that up is one of the issues that they have, and I never thought of because it's been so long, is the fact that you invest $1 today, people want to make $1 back tomorrow, or they wanted to make $1 back, the day before they bought. But that's just how people are. However, what I always say to people, I said, the way I do my accounting in my office, profits aren't created till the end of the year. So really, I lost money on this. No, you didn't. It's not the end of the year. You'll know at the end of the year if you did. And so a lot of people are focusing on today when, they're looking at, people are looking at things from a wrong perspective. Did I, if I spent, $100 on a solo ad, did I make it by the end, make it back and make it profitable at the end of the year? Well, then that's a great thing, But, like I said, I like to get it 30, net 30 as much as possible and even closer to, net zero. And that's always the goal.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think a lot of people they want things to happen too quick, but if you look at things at more a long-term view, more of like a 20,000-foot view, then you could be really changing a lot of things that have a major impact. Whereas if you're just looking at like, oh, how much did I make today from that solo ad, then you're kind of missing out on a lot of profits, which nobody wants that, right?
Right.
So, I mean. So let's create a kind of a hypothetical funnel here. They opt in, the rule of three. So there's 2 more pages left. They go to a one-time offer, and then if they purchase, an upsell, and then if they click off maybe a downsell. Does that sound right?
Well, so let me just tell you it's pretty simple. Okay, so I told you the real key is 3. All right, and so then when I told you there's 3 different markets that I found for me, everybody's going to find it differently, but 3 things that people like: make money. 2 is traffic, and that has to, how to make money with traffic, and the other one is how to make money with social media. Those are the 3 things that I found like. So therefore, I just told you my funnel without telling you my funnel. So typically, my opt-in pages have to do with making money. After you go in, the first offer you're going to see had to do with making money. The next product that you go to is going to be about how to make money with traffic, and the next one is going to be probably how to make money with social media. Typically, that's how my flow goes, because I do know that's the flow of what, if I go analyze all my. Well, so how I got all that data is analyzing, because we actually we live on reports. I'm actually sitting in the financial office, and I've got boards of numbers all behind me. But what I am looking at is I took a 2-year average of, we track everything that we sold. I mailed this thing today. I made this much money. I sent this many clicks. I know my EPCs, I know this, I know that. So I took a 2-year analysis of everything that we've sold as an affiliate or our own products, and looked and analyzed them and tried to find the common denominator between the top 3 things that we sold, and that's where I came up with that. So based upon that, that's what I know, the top 3 things that we sell is either an affiliate or our own products. Therefore, those are the things that we do create and we put inside our sales funnels. And now when people go through, if they go in, they buy, it's going to be, they buy the first thing. After they, if they buy that, they go to the next thing. If they buy that, they go to the next thing. And after that, they're done. They go to the thank you page. But download whatever we promised them the first time. Plus, just so everybody knows, when people do opt in, they go to that first page. What they also are doing is getting an email with whatever we promised we would deliver to them. So we're able to. So we deliver on our promise, which is very important in this market, in any market, but in life. But the big thing is we do go through that process. Now, you did mention something about downsells. Now, that's the buy flow. If you there are times that I do have, if you don't buy this, then I downsell you maybe something different. Like, for example, I have one where, on the make money thing, it might be like, hey, I'm going to give you 10 done for you websites. And my downsells, I think, are very important. I think people do them, and some people do them incorrectly, where my downsell would be like, hey, as an example, this is the best example I can give you at this moment, is let's say I have one upsell that's, hey, get these 10 done for you websites, okay? Then 10 done for you making websites or whatever. So if you say no to that, I might downsell you to, I'll tell you what, maybe because I would charge, I have one for for $197. Now I say, okay, I'll tell you what, maybe $197 is too much for you, and you weren't willing to invest that. Well, I'll tell you what, how about I take away 5 of those, leaving you 5 done for you websites, and you can get them, and plus slash the price off. I'll give you a $100 discount. So now instead of you getting 10, I'm going to give you 5 and give you a $100 discount. Now you get for $97. So it's not like, hey, you're getting it cheaper. I'm taking something away from you, but you have an opportunity to get it at a lower, at a lower cost. Just get your foot wet with it, and you can always come back and you'll get the rest. So that's typically how I would do. That's how I do my 9 times out of 10. That's going to be how I'm going to do my that thought process, or that framework is going to be how I'm going to do my downsells if I do have them. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah, talking about the downsells, just thinking from my own experience and thinking from a consumer's perspective, when I see someone downsell and they're like, $10 coupon or whatever, and it's the same product, it seems so scammy. It takes value away from your product, I find.
Look, I mean, first of all, this is okay, so a lot of guys right now in the marketplace, and we'll just talk about, there's offers you could bail, and you could go sign up for like different affiliate programs. You could mail something, and you go to the page, and they, let's say it's $47, and they say on the next page you exit out, and you got a pop up that says, hey, here's a $10 discount. I am anti that. First of all, like you even said, it just gives people a bad taste in their mouth. However, what people don't realize is what did they do to get rewarded that $10 discount? Nothing was left. So I was telling people years ago, and you made me think of this, and I'll just share this here. I said to people, you can still do that, just put something in front of it. So when somebody goes to your sales, and we're talking sales page, I know we're doing opt-in pages. Actually, it's going to happen here in a second. So somebody goes to your sales page, and you want to give them a $10 discount. That's fine, but the way you do it is you tell them on the exit, you say, here, opt in here right now, and I'll give you a $10 discount. Make them earn it and work for it. Now, if you went through that process and you went to a page, you exited it out, and then you say, hey, I can get a $10 discount. All I got to do is put my email in, and then you go to a page and you get it as a discount. You're not going to be upset, because you gave, your trade-off was, I'll give you my email to get the $10, right? Right. So there's nobody getting upset over that. And plus, guess what you're doing? You're collecting emails, which you should be doing in the first place. But on your exit traffic. So that's something just to think about for a lot of people to do that. Or you can have it as a surprise new member. That could be your first email in the sequence is, surprise, because you're a new subscriber. I'd like to give you a $10 discount off my new product just came out. Bam. Oh man, people are going to love you for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems a lot less scammy, and you're triggering the reciprocity. Things seem less shady, I find, than if you were just to be $10 coupon, same product, just because you clicked leave this page. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, it doesn't make sense because you didn't earn it.
Right. So talking about funnels here, there's so much going on now that I've heard about, pricing. Pricing is one of the 3 Ps, extremely important. So From your experience, what's your thoughts on pricing your products in terms of your funnel, like sequentially? Do you stair step the pricing, or what's
Um,
your thoughts on that?
it's a great question. Somebody did an analysis of my structure. I don't really have a true answer for you. Because if you actually look at mine, they're always going to be different because I'm always testing the models. However, um, I like to start off with, I like to start off, I like to go big. I usually start off with a bigger thing. Usually, I mentioned 197 because I actually I'm thinking through one of my processes. Um, is I have an opt-in page, then you go to a $197 offer, and then after that you go to a $97 offer, and then after that you go to another $97. No, after that, then you go to a $497 offer. So there isn't a rhyme or reason or like a standard that I do use because I have another sales funnel that you actually you come into, then you get it's a $7 offer, and then after that, then I take you to 97, then 97, no, 97 and 47. So it's not like I have a magic formula for it. So the best thing, I just think it's better for people to understand mindset than these things that even though everybody wants like, here, just do this and it works. Follow the follower, go ahead and have fun with that. I'd rather, so when I look at it and how I do it, and this is the real thought that goes in my head. So my thought is, okay, you just opted in to get X. What is the next most logical thing that you're going to want? Oh, you're going to want this. Well, how much am I willing to give that away, and what will they be probably willing to invest for that? This, okay, and that's the next thing. Okay, now if they bought that, if they opted in, then they bought this, what would be the next logical thing that they want to buy? This, okay, what would I will? That's how I actually think about it.
Right.
So there is no number. It's what I'm willing to, exchange whatever it is, and I know that they would actually purchase. Or sometimes I will do price testing, but 9 times out of 10, to me it has to be logical, the next logical thing that somebody would want.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I've been kind of experimenting and also paying attention to, offline businesses. Like for example, if you go buy shoes, right? Let's say you pay like $150 or $200, whatever it is, and then they're always going to upsell you like that, shoe spray or whatever it is, and they always go down in price because I think it seems much less expensive, even if it's expensive for what you're paying. So I think the psychology in there is working, but I know there's so many different ways to do it. So I think,
Well, I mean, okay, so to me, the bottom line is, what is the true purpose of you doing it in the first place? Is it just to
right,
make money, or is it because what you really should be doing is thinking of the big end outcome of I really want to get people, to get into my, like, let's say my new program. Well, so, I might, have that in there just for, let's say it's $4,600 to get in. So I might just have that in there just to have it in there so they actually see it and know it's there, whether or not they buy it or not, because they probably won't. But, it's what's the next logical step. What was the true purpose of what I was doing anyway, too. And that's a big thing. There are times that sometimes I will be fine, with having somebody come in, maybe they just get a $7 thing and then they're gone. Because the purpose of it was to get people to raise their hands and say they were interested in this particular topic. Because I have something bigger coming down the road, and I want to be able to have a base of people to be able to market to when that's ready. So I don't want to, extract all their money out of them now, but I want to do it later. So it's one of those things. What's the true purpose of when you originally designed it? I think is the real thought. If that makes any sense.
yeah, yeah, no, it makes complete sense. I think that's some good insight too, because I find it interesting because, people aren't really talking about this stuff, your process for doing so many things. Like, I thought you were going to say one answer and then you say something completely different out of left field. So I like that. I personally took a lot of value from this call. I hope our listeners are taking a lot of value too. I'm sure they are. So for those of them, who want to check you out, they want to learn more about you and what you're all about and the insight you have to share, where should they go to check you out?
I've broken the market up into 3 different areas. And this is good for people to understand. I want to say this just to be clear. Because this conversation we had was what I would consider a pure conversation. All markets, to me, in my mind, are broken up in 3 different areas. 1, you have BizOp. 2, you have the middle ground, which is hybrid. And then 3, you have a pure conversation. And getting pure conversations like this will not be some of my pages out there. I like to play a lot of in the hybrid area where I can promote a possible BizOp offer if it's real legit good and there's a good person behind it. But I also could promote pure offers where it's pure, really, solid stuff. Thinking the best thing from that perspective, you've got to be to truly get into conversations like this, and where it's true, pure world of thought and things. You've got to, I hate to say it, but you can't opt in for it. You've got to. The cheapest way to do it is go buy one of my WSOs, and that's what I'm doing at this moment. It's the award from Special Offer. I know one of those were going to be get you on what I have. Because I have 3 different autoresponders. I have 3 different mailing systems, one for each market, or for the way I've broken the market up. So in order to get that, if you're getting an email from Matt, I think it's Matt at Internet Marketing Insider. These are Internet Marketing Insider conversations, and the only way to get on the Internet Marketing Insider list is to buy. The cheapest way to do it is to buy one of my WSOs. You can't opt in to get there. You've got to invest $7 or $10 or some stupid little amount of petty money to get there, and I will protect you from all the whiz bang, push this button, make $10,000 in 2 seconds kind of crap. If you're on that list, now I will say I do have other lists where I do promote that because the smartest thing you're ever going to figure out when it comes to making money is you find out what people want, you go get it, and give it to them. Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of people in this market that want the whiz bang. Here's a cool little software that's going to do all this magic stuff, and it does, but it doesn't make you millions in 2 seconds. So I have a list for those different types of people. I will say if you're getting an email from, you want to be on my list that is emails are coming from Matt at Internet Marketing Insider, and I will protect you like you have never been protected by an internet marketer out there. Because you kind of identified yourself and raised your hand and said, hey, I do value these kind of conversations and these thoughts, and more of the innovative or even like how can I better do it. So I would say any of my WSOs is probably the best thing to do.
Cool. Well, I've personally picked up some of your WSOs. One that comes to mind is Solo Ad Secrets. I have actually purchased solo ads from that list, and I've told all of my followers about solo ads. We've done a lot of courses on that, so I think that would probably be the most logical one for people to pick up of yours, if you would agree with that.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I mean, Solo Ad Black Book, it was Solo Ad Black Book. And
right, Solo Ad Black Book. Yeah.
And one of the bonuses, it's pretty cool. You get my Solo Ad Black Book, which is all my tested stuff, and I created a rating system. So basically I did it so that I come from the thought of, what we do in our office is kind of cool, so I'll go do something once, then I hand it to somebody in my office, and they have them do it, so I got to teach them how to do it, and then after they do that, then we have an outsourcing team, then we hand it off to the outsourcing team, and that project becomes the project of the person that I gave it to, so they manage the project for it. So I'm able to duplicate our efforts and actually leverage an outside world to make things happen. But so that was the design for the thought of, hey, you can outsource this, you can use this yourself. And it gives you rating and grading, and it allows us to pick and choose. And so I don't have to think about, hey, guys, we need to buy from this. It really allows us to do things. And I did a thing in the UK, an event in the UK, which is called Solo Ad Profits, and shared people exactly what I was doing and stuff like that. So that's bonus on there. So I think that'd be awesome for people to get. And there's it's tons of, I think it's tons of value for the price you're getting for it, which is ridiculously low. Considering I actually really do spend up to $250,000 a month, not a year, a month on solos. So yeah, the data is very valuable, and once you can decipher it and read it, I think it'll be really good for everybody. And I actually show what things mean. But yeah, and I think that would be a great start for everybody.
Great. So I'll include a link for that below this call for anyone who wants to check it out. I encourage you to pick it up if you want, hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars worth of data compiled for like $7 or $9, whatever it is. Then click that link and go ahead, check out Matt. And Matt, before you head off here, do you have any last words for our listeners?
Yeah, one thing I would like to state, I will tell you that thing's going to run. It's a dime sale, so it's going to run to about either $17 or $27. I don't know where I'm going to stop it. And it does sell, pretty heavily. So the pricing is going to change every time actually it changes every day. So I want to just state that because I don't know when anybody's listening to it. Now, that's not the important thing that I really wanted to say. I just wanted to bring it up. But the big thing is, guys, I think I think probably Dan was kind of shocked at this call. You were kind of shocked at this call because maybe you wanted, not saying, but some people are kind of looking for me to, hand you like here, do this 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. I think one of the keys to your success is actually being able to think for yourself and not having everything handed to you. And like I said, following the follower, you got to be very careful. It's very important for you to understand this because I've seen so many people over the years have made mistakes in this market and other markets when they're following the wrong people. They're following the people that are regurgitating things from somebody that's regurgitating things from somebody that told them something. So, the smartest thing you could ever do is follow the leader and do not follow the followers. And when you get close to some people, and even with me, there's a guy online that I thought, there are some people, and it's fine. There's different types of people that are going to come into your life, and some of those people are kind of I hate to say it in a churchy kind of way, or whatever, false prophets. It's of internet marketing information. You believe everything they say is true, and even the market says they are. And then when you get really close to them, you're like, something feels wrong here. This guy isn't as smart as he said. I figured out where he's getting all the data from or information from. He's just regurgitating it from something that he heard from something else. But which sometimes is good. You learn those things. But the key to really doing is getting close to the source. And Dan Dan did a perfect job of displaying that earlier in this call without even knowing it. And what I'm talking about is, he mentioned Dan Kennedy. I mean, Dan, and I believe in one of Dan's mastermind was the moment when somebody actually said, hey, this internet stuff's getting pretty cool. I'm going to start internet, marketing, information business, and was the first guy to ever do it. And actually, I believe it did occur there. What people got to, once you understand the history of the marketplace and where things came from, getting closer to the source and the leaders of the market is going to change you from being the average guy out there making 10,000, like it was just the marketplace, turning you into moving into the stratosphere of the amount of money that you could make and the profit potential you could possibly make.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Matt, for your time, for your insight, for all the value you shared. Hoping that maybe we can get on another call in the future, and really just wish you the best for all your endeavors, and good luck with everything. Thanks for hopping on the show today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I really, truly appreciate it, Dan.
Thanks a lot for tuning in to the Digital Business Billionaire Show. I want to just remind you one more time, if you want transcripts of the show, the show notes, and all of that delivered to your email inbox, all you have to do is go over to dbbshow.com and you can sign up to get those absolutely free. That's over at dbbshow.com.